Echoes of Us Chapter 2. Quiet connections. He was standing by the wall, near the stairs, looking around as if he was waiting for someone. He didn't see me at first, but when he did, his whole face changed. He smiled and walked toward me quickly. "I waited a long time," he said, softly, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My heart did a little backflip. Our school was a Christian academy, so chapel period was a must. It was held once a week for the whole school. We gathered in the big assembly hall, where rows of wooden benches lined the room and sunlight poured through the tall windows. During chapel, we worshiped, sang songs, prayed together. Sometimes teachers shared sermons or short devotions. Other times, students presented songs, skits, or even dance performances. That day, we had chapel right before English class. Robert sat a few rows ahead of me. I could see the back of his head and one side of his cheek. When we stood to sing, I could hear his voice soft, steady, and clear. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't love, not yet, but something was growing in my chest. And it felt warm, alive, and frightening. After chapel period, we went straight to English class. It was one of the few classes where all streams sat together: science, arts, commerce, everyone. The classroom was larger than the others, with long wooden benches arranged in rows. I took my usual seat near the window. As I opened my notebook, I noticed him. He was sitting across from me, just a few rows away, and he kept looking in my direction. At first, I pretended not to notice, but my cheeks were already warming up. Then, a few minutes into class, something slipped onto my desk, a small, folded piece of paper. I quickly looked around and unfolded it under the desk. It was his handwriting. "Jane, if you want to eat lunch with me, please tick yes." My heart fluttered. I giggled softly, quickly drew a big tick next to yes, and folded the paper back. One of our classmates passed it back to him. When the bell rang for lunch, we walked together to the cafeteria, a little awkward, a little shy, but smiling. Today's menu was plain rice with vegetables. I frowned the moment I saw it. I never liked vegetables, especially boiled ones. So, as usual, I started picking them out and pushing them aside. Robert, who had been watching me quietly, finally said, "You should eat them if you want to stay healthy." His voice wasn't scolding. It was gentle, teasing even. I looked at him, slightly embarrassed. Does he really care about what I eat? Afraid of displeasing him. I quickly scooped the vegetables back and forced myself to eat every last bite. He smiled when he saw that, not mockingly, but kindly. Then, halfway through our meal, he asked, "Would you like to eat lunch together every day?" I nearly choked on my rice from surprise, but I nodded a little too quickly. As soon as I reached home that day, I threw my school bag onto the floor, dropped onto my bed, and buried my face in the pillow. I let out a quiet scream. "Oh!" Not because anything was wrong, but because everything felt wonderfully new. It wasn't love yet, but maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of it. After lunch and all the fluttering thoughts that came with it, I knew I had to focus. I had promised myself I wouldn't fall behind, not even for a boy with kind eyes and a soft voice. So I opened up my history textbook and began reading. The Revolt of 1857. British Policies. Doctrine of Lapse. So many names. So many years. I underlined a few important dates, tried to memorize who did what, and in which year, but after about an hour, it all started to blur. Then I switched to political science. It felt easier, more logical. Fewer dates, more ideas. As I read, I realized the subjects weren't as scary as I had expected. Sure, history was a bit tricky with all the names and years, but it wasn't impossible. I can do this, I told myself. After finishing my reading and quickly reviewing tomorrow's class schedule, I put my books away, turned off the light, and laid down in bed. The rain was softly tapping on the roof outside. The air was cool. My eyelids grew heavy. But before I drifted off to sleep, one last thought crossed my mind. Will he wait for me again tomorrow? And with that small smile, I fell asleep. Stay tuned, Chapter 3. Coming soon, please like and subscribe.